My name is David Elo. This is Time Out with David Elo on BHF Media, BHF Movies, and BHF Youth Organization. We've always been saying in this program that BHF is a youth organization, and we are set up with a primary goal of trying to see how we can fix the issues of cult activities, the issues of drugs in our society. And for the past 2-3 days now, we'll be talking about the issues of cult activities, especially in Benin, as regards Benin, where over 120 people have been butchered completely. You see them with their intestines out, their eyes out. Some part of their bodies have been severed. I saw the videos and I was amazed that such things could happen in 2024 in a state like in Nigeria and in a state like Edo State. Edo State is a state in Nigeria, around the Middle Belt area, and it's quite unfortunate that we do not consider it a national emergency. There's no much steps that have been taken by the federal government to address the issue. And sadly enough, the government has just left because they have a new governor now. The previous governor seems not to take much action. It's the current governor that seems to have maybe taken some steps by declaring, giving the Commissioner of Police 48 hours to put it to an end. We can't be having this kind of activities going on in a modern society. How do you expect investors and businessmen who are interested in investing their money to come to a region like this, to come to a state like this, and even to come to a country like this? Because the first thing every investor will be thinking about is the safety of his business and the safety of his family. A situation where people can be killed in the street on rampage in modern time, this modern age of 2024. We're not talking about 1532. We're not talking about 1827. No, we're talking about 2024. For people to be killed on broad daylight and slaughter their necks and throw them on the streets, it's not acceptable, because it makes it very difficult to get investments in a state and in a country where people's lives are no value for people's life, where they can kill and just get away with it the way they like. So we are waiting to see huge response from the federal government, Nigeria, and those people involved. Again, those people involved in these activities must be arrested. They must be dealt with. The world must see that such things are not acceptable in modern life. We refuse to accept it. You're welcome. We have a lot of people right now from outside this country that are just joining us now. You're all welcome, and I believe that in your country you're having a good time. So it's quite sad. It's quite sad, and so such things must be they must be stopped. We need a high-powered investigation. The security agencies must begin to take a proactive step right now to get these guys arrested. You are welcome again. Okay, I'm speaking in English. Somebody just called now. I want to find out that okay, we should speak. No problem. So what I'm trying to say in effect is that there is nowhere you will get investment in your state or in your country. When thank you very much. Thank you for thanking me. Where you get investment in a state where people are being killed unnecessarily, just because of court war that has moved from the school and have moved into the town. The safety of the people is a priority, should be one of the priorities of government. And so the government must be seen to be active by taking serious decisions and making sure that those involved are dealt with seriously. There is nobody that is involved in what is going on right now in Edo State, Nigeria, that should be spared. People must be dealt with, so that other people will take it as a deterrent. I see the reason why we keep having crime in Nigeria is that criminals get away with it. There seems to be no penalty, they don't deal with them. No, they get away with it easily. And this is part of the problem we are facing in this country today. People involved in fraud, they steal government money, they get away with it. So fraud is now attractive. Drug is now attractive because there's an increase in intake, especially since this administration came in. there's an increase in the intake of drugs, and nothing is done about it. And I begin to ask myself, we have an organization, the NDLA, whose responsibility is to fight drug. I'm talking about illicit drug now. I'm talking about dangerous drug abuse, drug addiction. It is the duty of the NDLA. I begin to ask myself, are they short of staffs? Are the NDLA short of staffs, or they have deliberately, maybe with instructions, toned down the fight against drug? Because everywhere you go to, you see the youths in their 20s, in their hundreds, a lot of them. At times you see them up to 20, you see them up to 50. They are all on drugs. So if the NDLA says they are looking for drug addicts, I don't really understand how. Because they are everywhere. The streets in Nigeria are becoming unsafe because of too much gathering of drug addicts, young men on drugs. And you cannot tell their state of mind. You cannot tell what they will do if they continually take drugs. And so anybody that passes their way is in danger. The level of insecurity in Nigeria is increasing by the day because of the massive increase in intake of drugs. And so the question is, what is the government doing about it? Is the government seeing it as a battle that must be won? It is the steps of the government they are looking at. Since the government seems to be slow about the fight against drugs, we will continue to see this massive rate of killing in the street. Because I tell you that the boys who are involved in this crisis in Edo State right now, in Benin, they are drug addicts. Yes, they are cultists, but they are drug addicts. And I told you that cult activities and drugs move hand in hand. They are the same. There's no difference. Because you need a high intake of drug for you to be able to carry out the things you are doing. When I watched the video, I was amazed. I was amazed because there is no way anybody will involve in this kind of killing without being involved in the intake of drugs. There's no way. You must be involved in the intake of drugs for you to be able to get involved in the level of killing, just because of the regulations and the instructions from the what do you call them now? From the NDLA. I mean, from YouTube and the rest. So there are some videos you might not be able to bring to you immediately, so don't violate the YouTube instructions. But the videos are here. The videos are here of the massive killing. They bring out the intestines of people. They remove the eyes of some people. Massive killing in the streets. On the streets. And nothing much has been done about it. I'm not sure. I don't know how many people have been arrested. I don't know if there's any effort to see that people are punished. There must be punishment. I keep saying it. If evil is not dealt with, the heart of men will be set to continually do evil. There must be people must be punished. People must be punished, and please, we shouldn't make light of the issue, because I've always been saying, I keep saying it again and again, because it's a national emergency. And I said, if it is not taken care of now, it's going to repeat himself in other states, because these groups are linked. They are linked. The same cult group you have in Benin is the same cult group you have in Warri, the same cult group you have in Lagos, the same cult group you have in Lagos, in Sokoto. In fact, anywhere you have the universities and the polytechnics, you have these cult groups around there. And so if something is not done to punish those severely, there's a tendency that it will spread to other states. I remember I said it yesterday. A friend of mine called me from Edo State. Is a big guy, and he was telling me of how he was scared for his son. I mean, I know him. I know this person for over 30 years now. 30-something years I've known him, and he was scared for his son because his son has also gotten himself involved in cult activities and drugs. I told you that it's the same. There's no difference. There's no difference. And 75% of Nigerian youths are currently on drugs. 75% of Nigerian youths are on drugs, which means anywhere you see 10 Nigerian youths, about 7 of them are on drugs. And if you have this kind of society, then you know that we are living in danger. Nobody is safe. Their parents are not safe. Their neighbors are not safe. Their siblings are not safe. They are not safe. Nobody is safe. You are not even safe as a father. You in government now, the security agencies are not safe. I told you yesterday that I was in a vehicle, I was going somewhere across the park, and I met people smoking, taking drugs, because they were taking drugs there. I met them. I was angry. I wanted to come down from the vehicle and tell them, because they are members of the Road Transport Union. They are just sitting there and they're taking drugs in the park. I wanted to come down to address the issue. I said, why are you doing this? And you are supposed to be the drivers of this vehicle. All of a sudden, I saw a security agent coming down, walking towards. I was so happy, thinking that, thank God, this people will be arrested. Only for the security agent to go there, sit down very well, and start taking his vehicle. It's an embarrassment. It's something that should not be tolerated. It's something that is not acceptable. It is not acceptable. So we must do everything possible to ensure that this thing is taken care of, because the security agents themselves are also humans. Before you know what is happening, you begin to have them in most of the security agencies. You begin to have them there. I don't know what the government wants to do about it now. I don't know the step that the government wants to take. But I think it is important that the government on himself begin to do everything possible to address this issue now, because to me it's a national emergency for now. It's a national emergency, and it's an emergency that must be taken care of by actions, not just keeping silent and making it look as if it's a normal thing. It will go away. It will not go away. It will keep increasing. Because if we look at the behaviors of the security agencies on the road, when you meet them on the road, we see the videos every day. You see the videos every day. Fighting with drivers and steering while car is on motion. It takes somebody who is on drugs to do that. For a security agent to be fighting with driver on a high speed on the road because he wants to take the car and they are struggling. You see the driver and the security agent, they are struggling on the road. We've seen and heard situations of careless shooting. People have been killed on the highway. People have been shot at the highway. You see their misbehavior. Thank God there's been some 1 or 2 reactions from security agencies. Once these things go viral, they get some of them arrested. But we don't know what comes out of there, because we just hear that they've been arrested by the security agents. They will do something about it. But we don't really know what is done about it. Look at the mother of 2 or 3 that was shot by a security agent around Ajah and Lekki side of Lagos on Sunday after church service. She is even a lawyer. The security agent has been sentenced and the rest. But you see that young lady of less than 35 years, her life was just cut short by somebody that is carrying a gun that is supposed to be protecting the citizens. So it becomes dangerous when you have security agents that are involved in drugs on the highway and you give them gun. It's the same thing like cultists. When the cultists are holding gun and they are on drugs, they are dangerous on the road, they are dangerous in the street, they are dangerous to their family. We've had situations where children have killed their parents because they were high on drugs. Look at what happened in Redeem Camp a couple of years ago, where a young man the guy is a student in the institution. The young man came. The father is a lawyer. He just came there to see his son. And at the end of the day, I don't know the argument that ensued between him and his son. And this young boy butchered his father to pieces. His own father, he killed his father to pieces and put him inside a bag. He was about taking his father to throw the corpse away. That's where he was caught, because he was on drugs. He was caught. He pieces his father. So the issue of drugs must be fought. And we are saying this right now because we seem as if we are having a government who is relaxed on the issue of drugs. As long as there is an increase in intake of drugs, we are not safe in this country. It's a priority. But a situation where you also have the politicians and those around the government system also involved in drugs, it makes it difficult to fight. And it's not just in Nigeria. I mean, look at the former nominee, Attorney General nominee by Donald Trump in America, who was also accused of intake of drugs. Thank God he has been replaced now by Pam Bodie. He has been replaced. He was also, they say he was a drug addict, involved in drugs, and also he was also involved in homosexuality and rape and the rest. I thank God he has withdrawn the nomination. I thank God he has been replaced by somebody else, because how can you have an Attorney General of a nation who is accused of intake of drug or accused of rape? But unfortunately, if it's in Nigeria, the person will skate through. If it's in Africa, he will skate through. They will not take any action against it. So we have people also who are politicians who are involved in drugs. And sadly enough, these are people that they fight their way to win an election, to be in government. Now, if they are in government and they are in drugs, how do you stop it? How do you stop the intake of drugs? So please, we need to be serious about this fight against drugs. We need to be serious. And we've been saying it again and again from Monday till now. We've been saying, touching a bit of it and talking about it regularly, so that people will see how important it is. That it is becoming a national pandemic. It's a national pandemic that must be addressed. It is a national pandemic that must be addressed, because it has the capacity to destroy more lives. 2 months ago, we had a situation of a young man who the rain was falling and the girl just came into their house to take shelter because of the rain that was falling. And this young man tried to rape the girl, and when she refused, she killed him. She killed her. She killed the girl and buried the girl in the compound. And after investigations and the rest, they found out that they didn't only dig that grave, dig the grave and bring out the girl in their compound. They found out he has also killed more than 3 people and buried in that same place. It's drugs. I'm talking about the terrible impact of drugs. Terrible impact of drugs. Look at the Venezuelan migrants that have been killed. I mean, they have been sentenced now to life imprisonment. The migrant from Venezuela that killed a young American nurse of 23 years old. If you carry out investigation, you find out that he is on drugs. He's on drugs. So the battle now is a battle of drugs. Drugs. And something must be done to address the issue. Something must be done to address the issue. Because I look at the next 10, 15 years, if something is not done now, this same set of youths that we are talking about will be the ones in government, will be the ones in this, will be the ones in this. So you begin to have a drug nation. You begin to have a nation that is filled with drugs. If you have youths now, if 70% of Nigerian youths are on drugs, and these are people we call the leaders of tomorrow, then in the next 20 years, you are going to have leaders that are drug addicts everywhere. It's going to be a crazy nation when you have leaders that are drug addicts everywhere. You have them in the judiciary, you have them in the police force, you have them in the army, it's going to be a crazy world. That's why we need to stop it now. Because if 70% of our youth are on drugs, and something is not done about it, in the next 20 years, by the time they begin to move into various positions in government, because we used to say, and it's the truth, that the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. But if the leaders of tomorrow are on drugs now, what happens to them tomorrow? Please, it's something that needs to be addressed. It's something that is very, very important. And I want to also say that one of the biggest issues we are having today in the world is our press system, the way we report issues. The conventional press is becoming a tool for deception. So these issues are not even well reported, because a situation where the press also have interest in one or two, they are also one or two of their major staffs are also on drugs. You begin to have issue. Right from America down, you begin to see what is happening to the mainstream media in America. It's the same thing that is happening to the mainstream media in Nigeria. Can the media be trusted with facts? Can the media be trusted with facts? Can we Can we trust whatever is reported by the mainstream media? I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can be able to trust the news that is coming from the mainstream media. Just like in America, it's also in Nigeria. It looks as if the government, you see, the media is the fifth. You know, I don't know how to call it the fifth, but the media is also part of governance, part of good governance. You know, the government is made up of the judiciary. The government is made of democracy, for example. In democracy, we talk about the executive, we talk about the legislature, we talk about the judiciary. And the fourth is the press. How effective is the press in your area? I'm just asking those who are with us online now. How effective are they? Can you trust the reports, the news from the press? Because as time begins to come in, you will find out that we cannot get the truth from the press anymore. The press will always write what the government want to hear, the government of the day. If the press takes a position, even if it is a lie, they will continue to propagate that lie using the media. So we find out now that the media is becoming a dangerous part. Becoming a dangerous part of information. Creating information that are not real, that are not authentic, creating information that are fake news. There are many in America, there are also many in Nigeria. They don't report the truth. They report lies. Lies. Most of the news that comes from the mainstream media, they are lies. So they don't tell the people what is actually going on. Especially if they don't have an interest in it. One will have thought that will be the headline. What is happening in Nigeria now will be the headline in the press. But no, it's not. Because the press is one of the mainstream media. It's one of the agents of confusion in the world today. Not only in Nigeria, all over the world. The mainstream media. They say lies to the people. And unfortunately, these are lies that the people cannot verify. They just believe the lies. So the press has contributed in making the world an unstable place by dishing out lies. They know it's lies, but they keep dishing out lies to the people. Unverified lies. They manipulate the truth. And so we need to begin to hold our press accountable. That's why many people right now, they prefer to go to the social media to get information, because you can't trust them anymore. Like I used to say right here in Nigeria, if you want to have a bad day, then listen to the press and believe them. Because most of the things they are saying is lies. If the press doesn't like the government of the day, they cook up lies. If the government of the day have been bribed by the press, they cook up lies. And they begin to dish out information that are not correct to the society. And gullible people begin to believe. It's only gullible people that will believe the mainstream media. Anything you hear about the mainstream media, don't just take it with a pinch of salt. Because 60% of what they say might not be correct. They manipulate the system. I don't know how the press in your country work, especially those that are with us on online now. I don't know how the press in your country work. But I know that the press in Nigeria, in Africa, have not been able to serve the purpose for which journalism is meant to be. Like they say, it's the fourth estate of the realm. Journalists are supposed to think first about the nation, think first about the welfare of the people, reporting issues that will benefit the people. Not lying to the people, not joining the government to lie to the people or manipulate the people. Like I said, how the news of what is happening in those states now, how many of the paper have taken it as a major issue that should be addressed? Look at even the just concluded election in the United States of America. The entire mainstream media were against Trump. And they were saying all kinds of things against Trump. And funny enough, most of these people that have been saying all these kind of terrible things against Donald Trump, I begin to see them now congratulating him and begin to reverse in everything they've been saying. And I just cannot believe it. I mean, a general that called Trump fascist and this and this and this, only for him to come back now and say everything will be okay. Look at the Lincoln rally issue of the young girl, the young nursing girl in the U.S. that was killed that was killed by this Venezuelan immigrant. You know, even the press there saying that the immigrant that was jailed was not. They made up their mind already to jail, but the facts were there that he killed this girl, a 3-year-old nurse. The facts were there. The DNA, everything, video camera, everything was there. And look at the impression the writer of that news media was making, as if they killed her because, I mean, they jailed him because he's an immigrant, and they just make it difficult for him to get justice. And it's a lie. The press, the mainstream media is becoming dangerous to the world. The mainstream media is becoming Ebola, more dangerous than Ebola. The mainstream media, all over the world. The mainstream media is becoming catalyst for confusion, destroying their nation, destroying the world, distorting information, lying to the people. They choose the lies they want to tell to satisfy their personal interests, not the interests of the nation. It has nothing to do with the nation. It has nothing to do with their personal interests. Probably they've been financially induced. Once they take a position and they discover that the position favors them, even if it doesn't favor the masses, they don't care. They don't care. It's so important. You see, there are two sets of institutions two sets of democratic institutions that must be guarded jealously. If the judiciary and the press is not protected jealously, if the judiciary and the press are biased, then it's a recipe for confusion. Then we have made democracy a joke. If those two institutions, if they are not protected and guarded, if the level of their integrity is not preserved, then there's going to be confusion. I mean, look at the judiciary in Nigeria. I thank God that the new chief judge now is doing everything possible to try and say I can sanitize the judiciary. Look at all kinds of injunctions they are getting. Look at, we've mentioned River State before, where somebody sits in Abuja and begin to decide what wants to happen in River State because they seem to be in control of some section of the judiciary. And you cannot trust the judiciary anymore. In Nigeria right now, the approval rating for the judiciary is less than 25-30%. Is it an issue of the courts? All of a sudden, politicians have decided that it's time to use the judiciary as a tool to satisfy their own personal interests. And like I've always said, it's very dangerous. If the judiciary of a nation cannot be trusted, we are on the road to anarchy. We are on the road to anarchy. So it's a common phrase in Nigeria. When politicians lose election, they tell you go to court. Go to court. That's what they tell you. Go to court. And they say go to court probably because they have a feeling that they have the court in their pockets. But this should not be tolerated. This must be stopped. This must be fought against. You see, because you are in government today, you cannot tell you will not be in government tomorrow. You are in a system that favors you today because you are in the system and you believe that you can use the judiciary to your favor. But you're not going to be in the system forever because we don't run a monarchy. You know, when the traditional ruler stays in government till he dies. No. We run a democracy. And if we run a democracy, you are timed. You are timed. You will not be there forever. I mean, there was a time some years ago that PDP thought they would rule Nigeria for the next 60 years. In fact, one of the national chairmen of PDP then, for those listening to us outside Nigeria, PDP is one of the parties. People's Democratic Party in Nigeria. There was a time they were in government. And I remember one of the national leaders said they would be in government for the next 60 years. But it didn't happen. So we have another party in government now. They can't be in government forever. So what do you do when you're in government? You must try and make sure that our institutions are strong. Help to build a strong institutions, not a strong individual. If our institutions were strong and not an individual, even the last government will not have even stayed till for 8 years, because there were cases in court that has to do with fake results. Until today, I don't think the result has come. We should have laws in the land that is no respecter of people, and we should have press that will be able to report the excesses of government, the excesses of the judiciary to the world, the excesses of the legislature to the world. That is what the work of the press. The press should be able to tell us our rights as citizens, and so tell the government their limits, to tell the judiciary their limits, to tell the legislature their limits, and to tell the executive their limits. Yes, we are living in a free society, the democratic society, where they have freedom of speech, but they should be able to tell us where our freedom of speech ends. Because where your freedom of speech ends, that's where the right of the next person begins. And so we've seen situations where government officials have been reckless with their statements, reckless with their actions, reckless with their behaviors. The press should focus on this for the world to see, for the citizens to know that you don't have the right to do this, even if you're in government. You don't have the right. To focus on the judiciary and tell the judiciary you don't have a right to do this. So we can stop all this midnight injunction by kangaroo judges that will sit down in the north and will begin to give judgment in the court in the south. Or will sit down in Abuja and give judgment in a case in River State. Or will sit down in the east and give judgment in a case in the west. Such things should no more be tolerated. We must say no to this. So the press must stand up. The press all over the world are so disappointed even in the press in America. They are so disappointed in them. And I begin to see the press, some members of the press in America and their hosts and the rest, even coming back again to apologize and try to mend up fence with Donald Trump. No, the press should not be involved in this. The press should not be involved in supporting anybody, any party. The press should not tell the voters who to vote for. The press should present the facts and allow the voters to decide. Who to vote for is a personal choice. It's not a choice of the press. So the press should not begin to tell people who to vote for. The press should not campaign for anybody. The parties can place their advert in each of the newspapers or each of the print media or the social media, as it were, or the sound media. When they pay for it, you put them there. But the press should not take a position when it comes to who to vote for. Who to vote for. The press cannot come and begin to tell Nigerians who to vote for, who not to vote for. Or tell Americans who to vote for, who not to vote. They don't have that right. They can give their views and their opinion. They can. Because they are humans, they are Nigerians. But the ultimate decision of who to vote for should be the sole prerogative of the citizens. So the press must also know their limits. And the press should also know that each time they present fake news, they are destroying the system. Each time they present fake news, they are indirectly destroying the system. So the press should be careful of the news they present. The press should be very careful, very, very careful. Because the recently concluded election in America has shown that not only is the Nigerian press having issues, but the press in America also have issues. Especially those from the far left, where they begin to use their position as a print media or sound media to begin to confuse the gullible electorate, to confuse the gullible citizens. At all times, we must learn to stand by the truth. Because the world and the nature and time will hold you accountable. What role did you play in manipulating the people? Because you run a press. What role do you play? even on social media. The other day I was driving home, and I heard in one of the press in Nigeria where some ladies that were there in that very particular program were trying to tell people that you don't need to, two of you don't need to get married to anybody, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that, you don't need to do that, you can cohabit, you can have children for them, trying to destroy the institution of marriage, trying to destroy it completely. They use the privilege because they pay for the airtime. They use the privilege to begin to sow that seed in the hearts of millions of youths that will listen to them. The fact that you have a failed marriage does not mean the marriage institution is fake. There are others also who have good marriages. We've also seen on social media of somebody who says he's a man of God, he says he's a pastor, who goes about telling people that you can begin to do as many divorces as possible. There's nothing wrong with it. Yes, there are conditions where you say, no, we don't accept. I mean, that's a discussion for another day anyway. We're not talking about marriage now, we're talking about the press. But let me just say this, since we are on it, it doesn't make sense for you to remain in an abusive marriage. In an abusive marriage, you can walk out. You can walk out. In the evening, we are going to look, we'll discuss it mainly in the evening. We want to look at the marriage institution. So in the evening, we're going to have time to discuss the marriage institution in the evening. But for now, I'll just say for now that it's foolishness for you to continue to remain in an abusive marriage, where the man beats you on a regular basis, or the woman beats you on a regular basis. That's how we lost one of our brightest, one of the great musicians, a female musician, with a golden voice. That's how she died, because she was beaten to death by her husband. And funny enough, when you as a lady, when you die, the husband marries somebody else. You'll find out that even before they even finish your obituary, the burial, the man has married somebody else. So don't hang around in an abusive marriage in the name of religion. Like I said, we'll discuss more on that in the evening. That's why you please press the notification button, subscribe to BHF, where we begin to talk on these vital issues. Subscribe to BHF Movies, this platform, subscribe to us. We are targeting 3,000 subscribers by end of December. We also press the notification button, so anytime we come on air, you will have this notification. You will know that we are on air. And also, please, you also share and like and comment on this YouTube channel. But we're talking about the press. You must be very sure of the information. You must verify them. Don't be in a hurry to run with the news you hear, both on social media. Most of the news you hear on social media, most of them are not correct. They are not verified. They are not verified. I don't want to get into issues here and there, but there are some issues that you must verify. Of recent, they came up to say, which I don't even know the purpose for saying it in the first place. Because even the Bible himself said, what the left hand gives, the right hand should not give. So let's assume that Elon Musk is even one of the highest donors for absolute reality. Why announce it? Why make it public? What are you trying to prove by announcing it? And now there's a lot of write-up coming up here and there, that it's not the truth. It's not the truth. They use this platform to pass information like any other group. That does not mean he donated, is the highest donor. No, that's not the truth. They said that's not the truth. And I watched the video where he went to where they made the presentation in the church. It's even a black man that went to receive the presentation. And he didn't even say he received it on behalf of Elon Musk. He received it on behalf of, he didn't say so. When they called the highest donor is Elon Musk, let him come and receive his award. He came out, I saw a black man, I saw a Nigerian man. Only for a Nigerian man to go and receive the award. So that's a topic for another day. So what am I trying to say? Anything you hear on social media, verify it. It is easy and it is quick to verify these days because of informations. You want to get information that what's happening in America right now, you can get it by sitting at your home. So what am I trying to say? Don't run with information that you read in the press. In your home, regarding marriage. There are a lot of lies that you see on social media. Some couple of months ago, I saw a man that had been calling me. I said, want to see me, and had time with him. And I said, okay, let's meet in so and so place. So he came to meet me. Then I was going to one of the banks in Nigeria. He met me there. We were discussing. And he told me how his wife has been unfaithful. We spent over 2 hours there trying to counsel him. How his wife was having regular sex with different men, how he has warned the men, how he has done this. That's what he told me. And I was counseling him on the steps he needs to take. 3 days later, I saw this same man on social media posting and declaring, "Oh, my beloved wife, today is my beloved wife's birthday." Say, "Oh, you have brought joy to me. You have brought this to me." I was confused. So it is not everything you read in the print media and the social media that is correct. So anywhere you are, whatever you read, just take it with a pinch of salt, because people have been deceived. People have been manipulated. People have been lied to. Today we are talking about the press. Just the way the press in America were just lying and saying all kinds of things, especially in the last election in America. The same thing with the press in Nigeria. It's not everything you read in the paper that is correct. It's not everything. It's not everything you hear in social media that is correct, because it is becoming a tool for lies. It's becoming a tool for lies all over the world. Not just only Nigeria, all over the world. Don't conclude what you hear by what you read in the paper. Don't take action based on what you hear on social media, what you hear on TV, what you hear on podcasts. Because these things are most of them are liars. They are liars. There are many people today that have left their home. They have left their marriages, they have left their home because of listening to informations that are faulty, that are wrong. I've seen many in my life, in this short span of my life, I've seen many things. That most things that people tell you are not correct. They are lies. People have mastered the art of telling lies and the art of deception. The most active demon in the world today is the demon of deception. The government is there filled with deceivers. The judiciary, the legislature, the businessmen, even the youths, the people in the streets. Deception, manipulation and deception. And now social media has given them the privilege and the opportunity to extend their lies to the global audience. It's not everything you hear that is correct. It's not everything you hear. Most of the things you hear are manipulated. They are not true. And sadly enough, it has also come to the altar. That most of the things you hear, the testimonies and the rest you hear from the altar, they are lies. These things are lies. I believe in miracle. I've benefited from miracle. I'm existing today because of miracle. But some of the miracles you hear on the altar are also not correct. During the time of Ketrikuma, when she was still alive, and she's a miracle worker, most of the miracles are taken, they are verified in the hospital, in the doctor. You must get a doctor's report. They want to see the doctor's report. When somebody says he has raised 550 people want to see a report. Is there a report that this person has been confirmed dead? So and so person confirmed dead. They bring the report, you pray, fine. But just coming on air to say, I've raised 50 people, most of these things are not correct. They are not correct. I've seen somebody who was giving I've seen a program where somebody was giving testimony that he's blind, he has not seen before, blind, and they prayed for him, his eyes open, and they begin to show him fingers and colors. They say, this is blue. And I say, if you have not seen before, how do you know what blue is? How do you know this color is blue? That's how they just give themselves away easily. Because if you say this color is blue, you were born blind, you have never seen before, how do you know the one that is blue? How do you know green? How do you know white? How can you stay on the stage and on the altar and say this color is blue? Which means you are lying. Probably they did not expect, they asked the wrong questions, and they did not school the guy very well before he tells those lies. It's not everything that you see that is correct. It's not everything that you see that is correct. Most of the things you see, they are lies. I've seen those things before. I remember many years ago when I was still a very, very, very young man, just barely coming out of my teenage age. Somebody called me once and said he wants to use me. Let us begin to perform miracles and the rest. And I said, what are you talking about? You pretend to be lame, you cannot walk, they'll take you to places. I said, no, this is not right. Thank God I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in miracle. God have done tremendous miracle. A few years ago, I had a terrible accident that I almost died, and if not because of the miracle of God, I would have not been able to survive. I was almost going. It was the power of God that helped me. I've seen great miracles. I've seen miracles performed by God. Used my hands to perform miracles, because all miracles come from God. But there are some miracles that you hear, that you interrogate, and you know that these are lies. There are situations where people are told, they call them to the church, they want to give miracle. They are told by the ushers of the miracle to tell. Even the miracle they tell you how they can manipulate the miracle. Most of the things you hear, they are not correct. That's why I said you must be careful. You must be careful the things you say, the things you hear. I beg your pardon. What you read in the paper, be very careful. Don't make decisions on issues that have not been verified. Don't go and begin to fight your wife and fight your husband on issues that cannot be verified. We've seen people before that boast and say, no, I will not telling his friend, this thing your husband, your wife is doing, I will not tolerate it. Never, my wife cannot do this, my wife cannot do that. And was shouting on this his friend. Because he went to visit him and he saw that the wife was misbehaving and the rest. And this guy came out and was saying, no, I will not take this. If my wife do this, I will send her away. I will deal with her. Only for this friend to visit his friend a few days later. And he met that it was even his wife that was sending him message. He was running errand. What are you doing here? Off that TV. Well, he was just running errand for the wife. And this is the same person that was outside boasting. Don't believe everything that you are told because they are lies. 80% of what people tell you are not correct. Human beings have now progressed. They are even more liars than the devil. Not everything that you hear that is correct. Lies is reigning now. The world, lies are taking over the world. Even from the altar of churches, from religious altars. Most of the things they teach you and they preach to you, they are not correct. They preach and they teach to favor you. They are manipulations. I guess one of the most effective and dangerous spirits we have now is the spirit of manipulation, where lies are told. The government lies. The parents lies. It's quite sad. The legislature, the executive, they lies. The press are telling lies. The government is telling lies. Religious organizations, they are telling lies. All kinds of lies. All kinds of lies. Even from the altar. They manipulate people. I've seen these things before. I've seen manipulations before. I'm not talking about what I've not seen. Where people climb the altar to manipulate. Some years ago, I was having a program. And when it was my turn to teach on that program, the organizers called me and said, please, you can help us to raise money. And this is anything, they know you already. They'll be following your radio program. They have because I'm in a lot of radio programs. I have a lot of radio programs around where I teach. And he said, they know you a lot. They know that you always tell truth. You are not a respecter of persons. You don't fear anyone. And they have trust and confidence in you. Please help us to raise money. Just tell them something so I can raise money for us. I was shocked because it's just about 2 minutes before I climbed the stage where I was about to talk. I was really shocked. And I told this man, I said, when God reminds me, I will tell them. Unfortunately, God did not remind me. So when I was leaving, they didn't even bother to say, take this. Thank God I went there with my car so I can drive home myself. They gave me nothing when I was leaving and I left like that. I'm not bothered. But I want to say the truth. Because God personally told me that he will hold me accountable for what I say and what I did not say. Thank you for coming with us all the way from Indonesia. Hello from Indonesia. Please, we want to know about your country. We want to know the things you do. We want to know the tourist centers. Please always write to us and tell us some of the things, some of those tourist attractions where we can, each time we travel to these countries, we'll be able to know that this is the place that we must go to. So those from Indonesia, those from UK, those that are joining us from different parts of the world now, from Indonesia and the rest, tell us some of those tourist sites that you want us to visit. Tell us your food, the kind of food we expect to eat when we get to Indonesia, when we get to the UK and the rest. Tell us your favorite color, your food, and how your nation is. Is it peaceful nation and the rest? Your people, we want to know about your people. So give us information that we can spread to the world and tell the world from this podcast. This is made up of youth. This BHF is a youth organization where we can be able to pass those informations to the youth, young people that are about to travel to various countries. They can be able to know precisely that this is what they will benefit by the time they get to your country. So you are welcome from Indonesia. You are welcome. So like I said, you must be very careful. Human beings are not the way they are. Most of the government agents now, those who speak for the government, they tell lies. They don't speak the truth anymore. You don't hear truth from government. They are lies, manipulations. Even from the churches, not all, some of the churches, the pastors, the leaders there, they tell lies. They feed people with lies. And so you must make sure you verify. Because most of the things they say is not correct. They lie. They use lies to capture their audience. But how long will this continue? They will continue until you yourself begin to make research. You know what is even annoying me most is that the black man does not ask questions. The black man does not ask questions, does not make research. They believe that anything that is said by the altar, said from the altar for the government is correct. No. No. Those days we used to say the words of our elders are words of wisdom, but now it's not so. Because the truth is that what has the wisdom of Solomon to do with the age of Methuselah? At less than 30, Solomon was the wisest man on earth. At almost 1,000 years, Methuselah was the most foolish man on earth. The most foolish man. 1,000, almost 1,000 wasted years. Wasted years. Uneventful years. It's not the number of years that you live that is important. It's the event that took place in those years you lived. It's the event. So you must be very careful as you listen to people. Make sure that what they are saying, before you take any action, verify it. It's even very clear that it's only a foolish man that listens to one side of the story and believes it. I mean, somebody came to me and was telling me all kinds of things some time ago, only for me to verify everything she was saying was a lie. Everything she was saying was a lie. That tells you the depth to which lies have turned to. The depth to which people have now generally accepted lies as a way of life. As a way of life. Verify your information. Don't believe everything the government tells you. Don't believe everything they tell you in the church. Go and verify it. Verify it. And the good thing about the church is that you can verify what your pastor tells you, even from the Bible, whether it is correct. And in verifying it from the Bible, you must make sure you read it from beginning to the end, not just one verse. Because a pastor can take just one verse and begin to lie to you. Likewise, in other religion, verify what you hear. Verify what you hear. We have people today, even in the Islam, they create the impression as if they tell them in Islam to go and kill. I don't believe so. I will try and read the Quran completely to get a proper information. But I don't believe there's any religious book, apart from witches and wizards, that will sit down and tell you to go and kill somebody. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I will read it to confirm, but I will never accept it. That you should go and kill. What kind of religion is that? Which kind of religion that will approve killing? No, I don't believe it. I will read it to confirm. Until I read it, then I will confirm it. Until I read it, I will not believe it. Because it literally does not make sense. I don't know the steps you are taking now because of the information you hear. Please hold back on those steps first until you verify. Because most of the things that people say are not correct. Most of the things you hear in the news are not correct. The press is one of the most dangerous channels of lies. Both the visual, audio, and print media. They are one of the most dangerous channel of manipulation. Lies. Just when they lied to us when they came to Nigeria here, they said Mungo Park was the one that discovered River Niger. How can they be? There are people that have been living in River Niger, around River Niger before Mungo Park came. Most of the English, most of the history that we have today in Nigeria, the early history about Africa and the world is not correct because they are manipulations from the white man to deceive the black man. They created their history that is manipulated to make them more superior. So some of the history they gave to us, the white men gave to us, are not correct. They are manipulations. They are lies. They are lies. They did not tell us the true history. Because most of the things they tell us, they are not correct. So we must be very careful as we begin to build up history. What is happening today is going to be history. Every day you are creating history. You are writing history. In the next 20 years, in the next 100 years, in the next 500 years, people will tell the story of what is happening now and accept they are properly documented. The problem we have in Africa with history is that we are not always documenting our history. So somebody can wake up tomorrow and begin to lie. In the next 100 years, you can have lies about what is happening right now, even in this government. Because we do not have a well-documented history. The history we keep having here are lies, manipulation, to manipulate the people they write something down that is not correct. Taking place now between the royalty, the Oba Benin, and the this and the Dodua, and you see battles taking place. This one said this, one said this, one said this. You might not even know what is correct. But because even the historians that are trying to write the history, they write the history that will favor their own tribe. Because we don't have genuine history that was written down in truth. What we have continuously is manipulation. Like I said, in the evening, we look at marriages and the steps we must begin to take and how important marriage is. But today, this morning, we want to focus on, we are focusing on the truth about what you listen to, especially from the press. Even in your church, even from your afar, even from your soothsayer, even the native doctor you go to see, the manipulation, even the native doctors, manipulation. I went to a lot of native doctors before. Like I always say, I almost became a native doctor. That's when I discovered that most of them are liars, manipulators. Because then I used to have a lot of flowing gown that looks at the nationals. And each time I'm with the native doctor coming and somebody else is coming, immediately the native doctor will look at me and say, okay, Alaji, please take it. So I'm going to Saudi Arabia. Take it to Saudi Arabia. He's going to give you good luck. I will be so confused, but quickly I will pick. I won't say anything. I'll say, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Because we never discuss about Saudi Arabia. But because of the way I was dressing, once the native doctor see that somebody is coming to the shrine and I'm seated there with the native doctor, quickly we begin to talk about native, you talk about Saudi, talk about this, talk about Mecca, talk about all kinds of things. And everything the native doctor is saying is not correct. So even when you go to see the native doctor, some of the things you are told are not correct. They are manipulation. I told you of a native doctor that was lying to me. He spent lying to me for a very long time. And I discovered that he was lying. I decided to reverse the table and I began to lie to him. I began to introduce business to him that was not real. I got him to be interested in this business. And all of a sudden, I started collecting money from him to finance a business that was not real. Anytime I want to drink beer there and take pepper soup and take all kinds of things, I go to his place. And he doesn't want me to leave because he thinks that the business will click very soon and he will make millions from him. I capitalized on the greed of the native doctor to extort money from him myself. In the presence of his juju, in the presence of the God he was serving, I was lying to him, capitalizing on his greed to defraud him. While the native doctor capitalized on my foolishness to manipulate me and collect money from him, from me. And after he has collected enough, I said, yes, this man has been deceiving me. It's time for me to take my money back. I reversed the trend and I began to collect money from him for a business that was not in existence. That's how I ate him dry. Because everything I was telling him was a lie. But he believed it. Because I saw some level of greed in him and I took advantage of the greed to collect money from him. Who is currently taking advantage of your greed to lie to you? Is it your pastor? Is it your afar? Is it your imam? Is it your government? Is it your business partner? Is it your wife? Is it your husband? Because it can also happen. A man called me the other day and told me that please, I should not be advising the wife again because they call me for counseling. I will advise them. I give advice to people. Thank God that God has given me the grace to begin to give advice to people that help them to work. And so she called me and the man called me and said, please don't give my wife advice to my wife again. Because since you started having a conversation with her, she's doing so well. She's making so much money. Meanwhile, it is the wife that is even taking care of the family, not this man. Even feeding the man because the man has no job doing. But he said I should stop giving the wife advice because since I began to give the wife advice, she's making so much money now. And now that the wife has money, the wife will respect him. Will no more respect him. I looked at him. You want to throw the baby and the bathwater together. It is the money that the woman is making that is using to feed you, fuel the car, and make life comfortable for you. Now you say that you don't advise her again. So if she becomes broke, how do you feed? How do you feed? That is the world we are living in now. That's the world we are living in. That's how terrible the world is. But permit me to say, we'll talk deep into it in the evening. It has to do with marriage and relationship. Marriage and relationship. Because that's another sector again where we have high-level manipulation. High-level manipulation. Are you a victim or a casualty of bad marriage? Of bad relationship? Must you continue to remain in bad marriage just because you want to satisfy your religion, or to satisfy your parents, or to satisfy your community, or to satisfy your religious organization. These are the issues we want to look at in the evening. The issues of marriage, in depth. I had a program some time ago on Star FM. I was invited as a guest on the issue of marriage. And there were thousands of people that were calling online. Not online, this is calling my phone, calling the moderator on that radio program, live radio program. It was a live radio program. The thing was so much, and just 30 minutes program. At the end of the day, the moderator said, okay, please, they gave them my own personal line to be calling. And 1 month, 2 months after the program, they were still calling, because that's a sector that is being bastardized today, and people are going through a lot of things. So we are going to look at marriage in the evening. Marriage. Please take care of yourself. Until we meet again in the evening, I will leave you with this advice. Don't believe everything that people say. Most people are liars.